Kagari suddenly put her hands up to her head, afraid. I feel like we've been over this a few times. Kagari was acting completely different now that she was just a moment ago with Maho. She raised her voice like a child throwing a tantrum. Her words turned to sobs. I can understand how she felt. From her perspective, it was all real. None of it was fake. It was easy to tell her to get a hold of herself, but it wasn't that easy for her to actually do it. I remember what Kiriso had said when she'd finished the time loop machine. She said you could never put your memories inside someone else's mind. It would destroy their personality. But if, just if we were to leave Kagari like this, what would happen? There was a chance that her own memories would disappear and only Kiriso's would remain. If that happened, who would the person in front of me become? Would it be Kagari? Or would they be Kirisu? If it was Kirisu, that wasn't true. It was impossible. I couldn't even think about it. But the more I thought, the more I felt a horrible idea tugging at my mind, no matter how much I tried to ignore it. It would have been great if Mayuri was around, but unfortunately both she and Lukuko had gone to school. Both of them were worried about Kagari and had told me to contact them if anything came up, but that didn't mean I could rely on them all the time. That seems like a bad idea, guys. Oh, if we're going with her, that's fine. I was gonna say, if we just let her go off by herself, that's a bad idea. The two of us walked out to Central Street together, but we didn't really have anything to do. The air outside must have made her feel a little better because Kagari was starting to calm down.
どこか行きたいところあるかな?
どこでもいいの?
ああ、君の行きたいところでいい。
それじゃあ、クリスさんと行ったところに連れてってほしい。
え？
オカリンさんがクリスさんと歩いたことのある場所に連れて行って。
Somewhere I'd been with Kirisu. What could that be? The coin laundry in the neighborhood? Horin Park? Yodan Sambo? I hadn't spent a lot of time with her at fun or romantic places. I spent a lot of time with her, but most of it had disappeared into many different world lines. I'd gone through that time again and again, but most of it had been spent arguing and working with her at the lab. We never spent any time going places to have fun. And we never made it to Aomori either.
オカリンさんがクリスさんと初めて会ったのはどこ？
初めて会った場所。
私、そこに行きたい。
The place where Kirisu and I had met. It was...
ここが?
A brightly colored building in front of Akihabara Station. The radio building. This is where it started. Yes, this is where everything had begun. On that day, the time machine appeared on the roof of the building. It was just after that when I had met Kirisu. I can still remember it. The challenging look in her eyes. Thinking back, I may have already fallen in love with her then. But even though this was the place I'd met her, this was also the place where I'd...
オカリンさん、どうしたの？
すまない。
Lately, I'd been so busy with Kairi that I started to think I was getting a little better. But maybe I wasn't.
汗すごい。ごめん。もしかして私のせい？
いや、そうじゃないんだ。ただ、
Whenever I came here, I couldn't help but remember what happened that day. But
行こ
いいの？具合悪いんでしょ？
う。大丈夫だ。
I couldn't just stand out here forever. I couldn't keep Mayuri, Daru, and the others worrying forever. If I needed to get over it at some point, then...
わかった。それじゃ、行こう。
Something soft touched my hand. Kagari was holding my hand tightly in
ありが
hers.
とう。
Kagari led me down the bustling street toward the radio building. My knees felt like they were about to give out at any second. Even after I'd gone inside, I was still doing better than I had thought I would. But I still didn't feel like climbing the stairs where it happened. We took the elevator to the roof. Ferris, aka Rumiho Akiya, had carefully locked the door to the roof so that no one who wasn't authorized could enter. I'd been given a key too, but today was the first time I was able to use it. First thing I saw after coming out to the roof was a strangely shaped object, the time machine.
わあ、懐かしい。これこれ。私、これに乗ってきたんだよ。
Kagari happily ran up to the time machine. It was right after she'd separated from Suzuka that she'd lost her memories. She'd remembered going from the future to this place in 1975.
初めてこのビルの上に降りた時にね、お空がすっごく綺麗でびっくりしたの。
Unfortunately, it wasn't very pretty right now, but Kagari spoke as if there was an endless blue sky stretching out in front of us.
私、ママと別れるのが嫌で、ずっとこのマシンの中で泣いてた。ママに会いたいよって。そんなことじゃダメだ。いつまでも泣くんじゃないって、鈴葉お姉ちゃんに言われて、それでも悲しくて。そんな時に開いたハッチの外に見えたのが青い空だったの。
2036年の空は青くないのか？
うん。戦争の影響でね、ずっと黒くて暗い空。それに外にもなかなか出してもらえないし。
The mid-70s were right after the big economic growth spurt. Ecological concerns weren't as important as they were now. That was also when air pollution was a really big deal. The air probably wasn't as clean as it is now. If it seemed beautiful to her anyway, that must have meant the air in the future was really terrible.
オカリンさんはここでクリスさんと初めて会ったの？
いや、ここじゃない。ここは。
お、降
A cold drop hit my nose.
ってきちゃった。
ああ、そうだな。
That's right.
岡部か。
生きてたか。
そっか。ここだとあんたと会っちゃう可能性があること忘れ。
何をしていたんだ？
考え事。
そうか。
The rain had been falling then, too. When she'd learned that either she or Mayuri was fated to die, she came here and looked up to the sky like this.
すごい降ってきたよ。オカリンさん、中に。オカリンさん。
What had she been thinking then? When she had entrusted her fate to another person, to me.
オカリンさんたら、このままじゃ風邪ひいちゃうよ。早くこっちに。
Kyrie dragged me inside, away from the noise of the falling rain. A few minutes later, I found myself sitting there. The place was being renovated and none of the stores were open. The lights were off, too, and it made the place seem very gloomy.
びっくり。
That day, after the rain, Kirito and I had leaned up against each other and talked. And this was also the place
こ
where...
こだよ。ここが俺とクリスが初めて会った場所だ。
Strictly speaking, this is where I'd first met her in the Beta World line. That day, half a year ago.
さっき私に何を言おうとしたんですか？
さっきとはいつのことだ？
ほんの15分くらい前、会見が始まる前に。私に何か言おうとしましたよね。 すごく悲しそうな顔をして、まるで今にも泣き出しそうで、それにすごく辛そうでした。どうして？私、前にあなたと会ったことありますか？
Thinking back, that was the beginning of everything. I wished I'd never met her. If only I'd known this would be the result. If I'd never met her, I wouldn't have to feel this way.
オカリンさん。
He looks like shit there. I felt something soft touch my
かわり
face.
私が怖がっていると、ママがよくこうしてくれたの。
どうして
だって、オカリンさん、すごく辛そうで、今にも泣き出しそうなんだもん。
Kagari patted me on the head again and again as if I were a child.
あいつとクリスと初めて会ったのはここだった。
ここって、この踊り場？
ああ、最初の印象は最悪。初めて会ったっていうのに上から目線だわ、睨みつけてくる場で可愛さのかけらもなかった。もっとも向こうだってそう思ってただろうけどな。
After all, at the time I was rambling about nonsense like organization
でも、
agents.
それでもクリスさんはオカリンさんにとって大切な人になった。
あ
That was in the Alpha World line, though. Right after I'd met Kirito in this one, she'd...
私の顔ってクリスさんによく似てるんだよね。
どうしてそれを。
先輩、真帆さんから聞いたの。それでネットで調べてみたんだけど、自分でもびっくりするくらい似てた。そんな人の記憶が私の中にあるなんて、それも運命なのかなって。
Fate. It always was. Fate laughed at us. It toyed with us.
ねえ、もしも。
A drop of rain ran down Kagari's hair and hit the
も
floor.
しもね、椎名かがりの記憶がなくなって完全にクリスさんの記憶に入れ替わるとしたら、そしたら私はマキセクリスになっちゃうのかな。
そう簡単にいくものじゃないよ。
でも、もしもだよ。もしもそうなるなら、オカリンさんは嬉しい？私がクリスさんになったら、オカリンさんは嬉しい？
It was the voice of the demon I tried so many times to ignore.
俺は
I didn't want that. Or did I?
でも、私はやっぱり嫌だな。
Another drop of rain struck the
こ
floor.
のまま自分がどうやって生きてきたのかもわからないまま、誰からも必要とされないまま消えちゃうなんて。
かがり。
私、どうなっちゃうのかな。私は
Kagari was shaking a little. It wasn't just because of the cold.
いや、
I never did figure out what she was apologizing
このま
for.
まじゃ風邪をひく。そろそろ帰ろう。